Thank you. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to send this message. I'm only sorry that I couldn't be with you in person today. Let me start by saying that I think Myanmar is facing four overarching challenges. The first is inequality. The second is the massive technological and economic gap between Myanmar and China, something that is unprecedented in our history. The third is the transformation of the global economy as a result of automation and artificial intelligence, something that will devastate low-skilled manufacturing jobs on which Myanmar development now depends. And the fourth is climate change. All are important, but climate change is the most important. The impact of climate change on Myanmar will be nothing less than catastrophic. And the impact will come not over centuries or decades, but over years. Myanmar today is in a climate emergency. We need first to remember the facts. The world last experienced a major climate shift at the end of the last ice age. The world then warmed about 5 degrees Celsius, but that transition took place over thousands of years. Since about 10,000 years ago, the climate of the Earth has been fairly stable. It is not a coincidence that all of human civilization, including agriculture and the emergence of cities, have taken place during this relatively stable climate. Now the climate is no longer stable. Instead, it is changing at an incredibly fast rate. And it's changing mainly because of carbon dioxide emissions sent into the atmosphere by the burning of fossil fuels. Most of the damage has been done over the past 25 years by the United States, China, and Europe. Each year's emissions are greater than the last, with nearly 40 billion tons of CO2 pumped into the atmosphere in 2018. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, is the UN body which brings together thousands of scientists from around the world on this issue. Last year, they warned that an increase in global temperatures of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels will be a tipping point. We are already at 1 degree warmer. If nothing changes, we will reach 1.5 degrees by 2030. So the world has just 11 years to prevent reaching this tipping point. This will require the transformation of European, American, and Chinese economies on a scale that has never before taken place. It's possible, but it's extremely unlikely. And if we pass this tipping point of 1.5 degrees, further warming to 2, 3, even 4 degrees will become increasingly difficult. Even a 2-degree warmer world, which we could reach well before mid-century, will be devastating for this country. We will see intense storms, cyclones like Nargis more and more frequently, perhaps every year. We will see sea levels rise, inundating the coastline, parts of the Irrawaddy Delta, and areas around Rangoon. We will see unbearable heat, not for weeks, but for months of the year. We will see prolonged drought. And with unpredictable rains, which combined with intense heat and drought, may make agriculture impossible in the dry zone and the delta. We will see mass extinctions of animal species in Myanmar and the spread of new diseases. And if climate change is not reversed and we move from 2 degrees to a 4-degree warmer planet, much of this country, much of Myanmar, will become uninhabitable. The Irrawaddy Delta will be gone, as well as much of Rakhine State. Yangon will be an island. The center of the country will be too hot to live for humans as well as for most animals. We will see migration of millions of people or tens of millions of people. Bangladesh next door will also be in severe crisis and will produce tens of millions of climate refugees. We may well see this 4-degree warmer world well before the end of this century, well within the lifetime of young people today. There is reason to hope that humans will take the measures needed to prevent global catastrophe. New technologies may help find ways to repair the climate. As cities and economies in rich countries are increasingly impacted themselves, political leaders may feel impelled to take drastic action. By then, it may not be too late to save the rich countries, but it will be too late to save Myanmar. Myanmar is set to become one of the 2 or 3 countries most impacted by climate change. It is also one of the poorest. There is an issue of climate justice. Myanmar has done almost nothing to cause this crisis, Yet its 55 million people, overwhelmingly poor men, women, and children, will bear the brunt of what is to come. Myanmar does not have the resources to address this alone. Myanmar should be demanding massive financial assistance to prepare for the future. The UK and Ireland have declared recently a climate emergency. If there's any other country that should do the same, it's Myanmar. All our planning for the future should be with climate change in mind, from where we locate our cities and major infrastructure to how best to protect the poorest and most vulnerable. Myanmar should also be at the forefront of countries working internationally to stop climate change. We should be at the forefront of demanding action now, before the world reaches the 1.5-degree tipping point. We should help lead multilateral discussions and help make climate change the #1 issue at the United Nations. This fight in the face of global climate change is the world's top priority. Together with a fight for equality and an end to poverty, it should also be the cause that unites all the peoples of Myanmar. We need the strongest possible action as soon as possible, connected to global efforts to face the challenges to come. Soon, I'm afraid, time will be running out. Thank you very much.